Not New York legend, not street ball legend. I am the international legend, James Fly Williams. I got my name Fly from the way I dress, the ladies that travel with me, and then my game got Fly. My first game in here, 61, and then play the whole game. But I danced when I got out here though. I danced. I mean, you can put on James Brown when I was out there. I danced. When I came through them gates, the show was on. And when I left through here, there wasn't no more room in the book. I'm 6'5" and got a guy 6'2" guarding me. Oh man, I'm gonna do him dirty, man. I didn't give nobody no respect, man. You know what I'm saying? I was worse than Rodney Dangerfield. They wasn't afraid of no one. They wasn't afraid of no one. You know, some guys have fear. You know, I've seen it. Me, I didn't fear no one. Everybody feared me. You had to come to Rucker to show your game, to show your dance, to showcase your art. If you got any type of game and you think you can do something with this here right here, you gotta come to Rucker. Anybody that you talk to about Fly Williams, they'll tell you he was the baddest man in this town. Legends don't die. They don't die. They multiply.
There's a player located in the proximity of every park, a legend. When you go in that park, you're trying to perform like whoever that legend was. When you leave, you want the next people to talk about you in that park. That's the history. You just get etched in stone with that park. If you already know if Fly Williams is the legend of this park, then I can only be as good as Fly Williams. You know what I'm saying? That's who they're gonna compare me to. Oh, he was busting boy, he was tearing ass, he couldn't miss, he couldn't do this, he was dunking. Man, I ain't never seen nobody do that since Fly.
First of all, I'm James Fly Williams. You know who I am. I'm the best that ever came out the streets that played this game. You know, I mean, you can go from east to west, north to south, borough to borough. I'm the only one drop 50 at a half regularly. You know, like a kid with diarrhea. You know, I was tough, man. They got the stories out there, and my stories is true. Scoring 300 in a day. You know, playing 2-3 different games, you know what I'm saying? 60 here, 45 here, 55 there. I had to add them up in the course of the day. I scored about 200 and change, you know. That was my thing every day, you know, going from game to game. You know, I had to walk in and it was regular. They didn't lie. 50 at a half and he going somewhere else to play. Street basketball was an art, you know what I'm saying? We brought it to another level. You know, back then when we played, it wasn't highly spoken as of today. But the street legend today is guys they give a name to. I mean, we earned it, man. You know, year after year. I mean, the guy played now for 2 years and he's Kid Dynamite. You know, and I can look at him and say, the guy ain't even got an 8-foot jumper. You know, I mean, you can O and R all day long, but they don't finish. The object is scoring the deuce. We had an honor and a code. When you get on this blacktop, bring it. No, you got that wrong. I had 45 the first half. Okay. Well, I came to ISA. It was an all-star game. I played with, you know, my boys, World and Jock.
We got somebody from Brownsville that can do it all. Rebound, score 50 at half time, shoot any kind of way. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Who am I talking about? Who am I talking about? Who am I talking about? James Fly Williams.
Best player ever come out of Brooklyn from the park certainly was Fly Williams. No doubt in my mind. To get a chance to have played with him and to see him play, man, it was just a wonderful thing.
Fly Williams is just awesome. He can shoot from anywhere on the court, take 2 or 3 people at the same time, and he just made Brooklyn street ball what it is.
Fly. I'll give you the story, right? We were playing the Knicks. We were playing Friday night, Saturday night in New York, Sunday afternoon in Philly. So the Saturday night we played the Knicks, and we were on the bus going to Philly that night. So Fly came to see me and stuff. So I told the guys on the team, they said, who's that? I said, that's that guy Fly Williams. They said, how good is he? I said, he's better than anybody on this bus. That's what I said. I put it like that. So that's what I thought about Fly.
That's saying a lot.
That's right.
Now, the alleged leader of this trafficking operation, who along with 3 others, and who is to be in charge under the Kingpin statute, is James Fly Williams.
We didn't care about the game. We wondered where the next party was at, where that candy at, where them girls at.
Avid basketball fans have heard of him. In the 1970s, he was a high school superstar and college basketball prodigy who grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. He led his college team to the NCAA tournament. He was later drafted after playing for 2 years in the first round in the American Basketball Association before it merged with the NBA.
With 5, the jumper! Yes! Yes! He made it!
While his pro career was actually short, he made a name for himself as a street basketball player and local legend in Brownsville and other parts of Brooklyn. His popularity and status in the community may have ironically helped him in operating and hide this elaborate criminal enterprise. Now, what makes his alleged conduct even more unfortunate is that Fly Williams had his own well-documented battles with addiction. By his own admission, he had abused drugs for many years and had become severely addicted. Fly Williams is no stranger to the misery that addiction causes. He knows it stunts opportunities for our youth and that the misery it brings along. It destroys lives. And yet we allege that he was spreading heroin throughout Brooklyn and beyond, breeding addiction and bringing misery to others. That someone with his stature in the community, with his influence on young people, would run such a substantial narcotics operation is truly sad and reprehensible. He will now be held accountable for his actions. As the investigation developed, we set out to learn where the heroin Fly Williams is being charged for selling was coming from, who was distributing it, and where it was being sold. I'm going to refer you to the exhibit on your right-hand side. Our investigation led us right to the Bronx, a man named Richard Rivera, who we have charged with supplying heroin in bulk quantities to defendant Hansel Martinez Cintron. Cintron, who's also from the Bronx, would receive the heroin, would cut it, and would package it, and then he would then supply it to Jeffrey Britt, who was known as Doobie. Doobie, we allege, works together with Fly Williams. Together, and with the other charged kingpins, they maintained a heroin distribution ring that had far-reaching tentacles. They made both wholesale purchases and sales, and then street-level retail sales with the people down below who are street-level dealers. The network sold heroin across Brooklyn in neighborhoods of Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, Bushwick, Fort Greene, East New York, and elsewhere. It even supplied heroin to certain counties upstate New York. This was big business. We've already talked about some of the numbers, but they're called kingpins for a reason. Our investigation reveals that this trafficking ring was buying $30,000 of heroin per week and sometimes more. We allege that Fly Williams and his associates are the worst kind of drug dealers because they were selling this poison to their neighbors and others in their communities. These are our communities and our neighbors. These are our family members, and they need to be protected from the scourge of heroin. We talk a lot about the number of murders in New York City and in Brooklyn in any given year, and we should be thankful that the police department has helped drive down the numbers to near record lows. But in Brooklyn, we had almost 3 times as many overdose deaths last year as we've had homicides. Heroin kills. Opioids kill. And in a very real sense, the individuals who sell these drugs do irreparable harm to our communities. And as it is often the case for drug trafficking rings, we have collected evidence that the members of this ring were ready to use guns to protect their business. And when executing search warrants, we recovered 6 firearms, including one allegedly belonging to Fly Williams, gun right over there. These firearms were found in various locations where the drug dealers stored their heroin and their money. Narcotics rings inevitably breed violence. By their very nature, they have to protect turfs, they have to protect their business, and these guns provide that protection. When arresting the members of this ring, we recovered 2 kilos of heroin, nearly 14,000 glassines of heroin, and about 185,000, a little bit over that, in United States currency. These are professionals who knew what they were doing and took steps to evade detection and law enforcement. I wanted to show you how this member hid and transported the heroin in these very realistic looking cans. Cans. They had Pringles cans. They even had this bottle of water that looks like water, but inside it's carved out so you can put the heroin so it can't be seen. And you're walking down the street, it looks like you're holding a bottle of water. Very detailed cans, had WD-40 and paint cans. This was an elaborate operation. Don't be misguided that this was simple trafficking. These were people who clearly thought about how they were going to transport drugs and evade law enforcement. In running his operation, Fly Williams kept a close, trusted team. He employed his own son, James Williams Jr., his girlfriend, Lizette Kelly, and other family members and close associates. We plan to continue to investigate and dismantle narcotics distribution rings as we have been doing increasingly over the past several months. As I've said in the past, this is but just one tool for us in our overall approach to combating the heroin and opioid crisis in New York City, and in particular Brooklyn. We recently secured funding from the City Council to launch an innovative program here in Brooklyn that diverts heroin users to drug rehabilitation centers and allows for dismissal of their cases if they meaningfully participate in drug treatment programs to combat their addiction. I'm grateful for that funding, and I'm looking forward to getting that started later this year. This approach of addressing both the supply and the demand for these very dangerous drugs should go a long way in reducing the spike of users and the overdoses in Brooklyn. That is our goal. I want to thank the hardworking members and relentless detectives of the New York City Police Department who brought us this case, and the investigators and prosecutors and other staff members here who helped build it. This is a successful investigation done in a very short period of time, and the results speak for themselves. This is a tremendous operation that we dismantled in Brooklyn. 4 defendants are being charged under our state's drug kingpin laws, which imposed increased penalties for those who deal in large amount of narcotics, who make a tremendous profit in a certain period of time. The investigation started with undercover purchases of large quantities of heroin. The investigation expanded to include court-ordered electronic surveillance with intercepts of phone calls and text messages. The wiretap uncovered the truly wide range of this operation. We allege that in a 3-month period beginning in January of this year, 2017, This ring distributed over 2 million glassines of heroin. At a street price of $6 to $10 per glassine, the heroin in this case had a street value as high as $20 million.